Welcome back to Jaded Joy Stories. I'm your host, Brutus, and today we have two stories. Story 1 is about a stepdad who digs up his stepdaughter's time capsule without her knowing about it. The second story is about a father who is buying shoes for his daughter and his fiancée gets very angry. Both of today's stories come with multiple updates, so stay tuned for those. Let's go ahead and get into the first story for today. By user Impossible Stuff 119, Stepdad unearthed my time capsule. Hello all, this is my first post, so bear with me. Here's the backstory. When the clock hit midnight in the year 2000, all the members of my family and extended family were there. We all signed a paper and each put something into a time capsule. Shortly after, my grandfather passed away from a brain tumor. I was 9 at the time and my grandmother and I buried the time capsule behind the headstone at the cemetery. She told me to take it out in 10 years and have a look. No one else was there for that. I don't remember much of what was put in there because I was so young. 2010 came and went and I didn't feel like taking it out yet. Not much had happened in 10 years, so I wanted to wait longer. Fast forward to 2022. My grandmother died after living a long and full life. I disclosed to my family about the time capsule when we were at the graveyard, and it seemed like my stepdad took interest. Parents were divorced and mom married him 2008. I confirmed it was still there by poking a small wooden stake in the ground and poked around till I hit something solid. Decided it was still too early and wanted to wait longer. Today I got a picture in the family chat showing him unearthing the time capsule. My mom and him took a trip to the cemetery. I was mad and still haven't responded. I don't know how to go about this. I don't know if I should tell him how much it meant to me to be the one to take it out. Or should I just brush it off? It's one of those things I think about every once in a while and get more excited as time goes on. I don't even remember what I put in there. Could have been a toy car or whatever. But I don't know. Am I wrong for being upset about this? Thank you in advance. OP gave some more information in the comments. TrailMix_PProf says, you're not in the wrong for having the feelings that you have, but could become wrong depending on how you handle and express those feelings. From here out, I'd focus on what do you want to get out of the situation now. Do you want to see everything that was in the time capsule? Or would you like them to rewrap it up and you can have a surprise later? OP replied, thank you for your reply. I agree with you. My stepdad and I have a great relationship and he's been there for me. I don't think he intended to cause harm or anything. Just curiosity got the better of him. Yeah, I'd like to see everything that's in there now. What's done is done and I don't feel like turning this into a mess will make anything better in the long run. I don't want them to rebury it. I think I was more excited to go there eventually and unearth it myself. It's in another state. Seems like OP knows what she wants to do. I would probably be mad if someone in my family took away something special like that from me, but what about y'all? What would you do if you were in her shoes? Let us know in the comments below. And if you are enjoying the story so far, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to hear more stories like this one. Your support means a lot and is very much appreciated. Thank you. Let's move on to the update. Hello all. I figured I'd post an update on what transpired. To those who didn't read my first post, basically I buried a time capsule with my grandma 23 years ago after my grandpa's death. A year ago when she passed, I disclosed to my family about the time capsule and how I wasn't ready to take it out yet. A few days ago I got a text with a picture showing my stepdad exhuming my time capsule from behind my grandparents' headstone. I was a mess for a few days. I was trying to figure out why it bothered me so much that he did that without my permission. There is so much hurt going on recently in the world and this was such a small thing in the big picture. But I have been waiting for that moment most of my life and it was taken away from me. I am a very calm person and it takes a lot to get to me. I don't know if it was the sum total of stressors in life and anger that I've bottled up over the years. But I was honestly considering calling off Thanksgiving with them over this. Crazy. So basically I sent a text to my stepdad saying that I was very upset that he took it out of the ground without my permission. Instead of apologizing, he said he thought I would be happy that he found it and was just trying to locate it for me. I knew exactly where it was since I was 9 and I never asked for help finding it. I told him that I was not happy about it at all and that it meant a lot to me and the moment had been ruined. He then told me that he will put it exactly where it was. And in his words, no harm, no foul. He didn't apologize at this point. So I decided to not reply and continue stewing. I just got a text from him saying that he sincerely apologizes for what he did and that his intention was to map out exactly where it was for me to find in the future. When he took it out of the ground, he found that the seal had corroded and sand/dirt was inside. So he was going to take it out because it had been compromised. I need to let go of the feelings I had over this. I have no idea why it brought me from 0 to 10 so fast. I'm going to forgive him and let it go. I'm only hurting myself and my relationship with my stepdad by blowing this up. However, I will not be disclosing anything like this to him again. My sweet wife was so supportive and said that we can make our own time capsule for our daughter born this year to dig up years from now. That made it much better for me. Thank you all for your support. Sounds like OP is going to let it go and not let it cause problems with her stepfather. I feel like this is a good idea for OP's mental health, but I would have a hard time not telling the stepfather how his actions made me feel, even if just for my own closure. Tell me what y'all think in the comments below. The next story is about a fiancé getting mad at a father for buying his daughter some shoes. Let's look at that now. This was originally posted by user throwaway2948199 on r/advice. My fiancé is angry that I got my daughter 5 pairs of running shoes. My fiancé has 3 kids, 16 male, 19 female, 13 male, with her ex. Meanwhile, I only have 1 kid with my ex-wife, my daughter, 14 female. My daughter is a state qualifying cross-country and track runner. This means that her training schedule is rather intense, with her weekly mileage reaching into the high 70s and low 80s. At her most recent sports physical, I asked her doctor how often I should replace her shoes because I'm sure they get worn out pretty quickly with the amount of miles she's running each week. Her doctor recommended switching the shoes out every 6 months, as well as getting 2 pairs of shoes so she can switch out the pair she's wearing every other day or so. However, her shoes may need to get replaced earlier depending on how intense her weeks get. After the appointment, I took my daughter out to a few athletic stores so she can pick out a few pairs. I told her to pick out 4 pairs of running shoes, 2 for track season and 2 for cross-country. Then I told her to pick out a pair of spikes for her races. I spent over $300 for her shoes. When we came home, my fiancé saw the bags my daughter was holding and my daughter excitedly told her about the new shoes she had gotten. My fiancé stayed quiet until later that night. While we were getting ready for bed, she started yelling at me for being irresponsible and a horrible person to her own kids. She said she was very mad because I should also get her kids shoes if I'm spending over $300 for my daughter. I mentioned that we agreed we would each provide for our own kids on our own, and her kids don't play any sports. They all sit in their rooms all day on their electronics. Even when I do buy them something, they never say thank you or appreciate what I get them. She got even angrier and now she hasn't talked to me still. It's been 2 weeks. How do I handle her anger towards me for not getting her kids shoes when I got my daughter shoes? Something more has to be going on here than just buying shoes. If she will not communicate with Opie, this problem is going to keep getting bigger in my opinion, but tell me what you think about this below. The Opie had a second post about another similar problem. Let's look at that now. My daughter's Nintendo Switch completely stopped working earlier this week. She got it the month it was released in 2017 and has kept it in good condition for over 6 years. Yesterday, she had her conference cross-country meet where she both got a personal record and qualified to run state. To celebrate her new achievements, I took her out to eat and then bought her a new Nintendo Switch with a game she picked out. My fiancée came back from her parents earlier today and saw my daughter playing with her Switch. She asked me about it after my daughter left with her boyfriend, and I told her that I wanted to celebrate her accomplishments in her running career, so I got her a new Switch as a gift. Fiancé then got really angry and told me that if I'm going to buy my daughter something, then I have to be fair and buy her own kids 19F, 16M, 13M, something too. I pointed out that I do buy her kids gifts when they reach goals and achievements too. For example, I bought my stepdaughter an expensive Hello Kitty necklace as a high school graduation gift, and I let both the boys pick out 2 video games when they both passed their final exams. She told me that it's unfair I spend more on my daughter than I do on her kids because I make a lot more than her. Fiancé then got angrier and accused me of not liking her kids because of the different financial treatment between her kids and my kid. She left with her 2 sons, but her daughter stayed with me at the house because she's on my side. I got a bunch of texts from her family calling me a selfish asshole for treating her kids differently when buying gifts. Am I wrong? Edit, to answer some common questions because there's a lot of comments and it's hard to get to all of them in a timely manner. How does your fiancé treat your daughter? My daughter and fiancé don't interact much. They're both polite to each other, but they simply don't talk much aside from small talk and my daughter asking her some questions about cooking food. I have mentioned to my daughter before that if my fiancé ever were to mistreat her, she needs to tell me and I will always have her back no matter what. To my knowledge, my fiancé doesn't mistreat her at all. They just don't talk much. Do you have a will or trust fund in place? I have a will set up that gives my daughter everything. My will is safe with a very trusted lawyer friend of mine. I also have a trust in place for my daughter and she will gain full access to it once she turns 21. Did you have this argument in front of her children? No, she called her kids down and told them what we were arguing about. I told them my side and her sons took her side and left with her. What is your relationship like with her kids? How are they with your daughter? My relationship with her sons is unfortunately minimal. I try to talk to them about their favorite topics or hobbies and they either ignore me or shut the conversation down as soon as possible. I don't talk to them much either other than when they come to me for advice on things like school, friends, etc. My relationship with her older daughter is very good though. I'd like to think we are close. As for my daughter, she doesn't talk to her stepbrothers much, but she's extremely close with her older sister. Hope this clears up some things. Edit 2. To clear up another few common things being mentioned, my fiancé has not always been this way with my daughter and me. She started getting much more defensive when my daughter finished middle school. Her children's father is not in their life and does not pay child support. My daughter's mother is not in her life either. After hearing both of his stories, what do y'all think? Is he in the wrong for buying things for his daughter? I would think that the fiancé would be happy for the daughter's accomplishments, wouldn't you? OP has an update for us so we don't have to wait to see how the story unfolds. Update. I made a post yesterday asking if I was wrong because I didn't buy my fiancé's kids a gift, but I bought my daughter one. I wanted to thank everyone for the positive feedback and the kind support as well as the helpful advice I've gotten. A lot of people asked for an update after I talked to my fiancé, so here you go. She came back at 12 in the morning alone. She said she left the boys at her parents' place because she doesn't, in her words, want them in the presence of a man who won't provide for them. I sat her down and talked to her about a lot of things and a lot of you were right. This is not the woman I want to marry. When I first brought up how she doesn't bring anything to the table when I pay for everything, she didn't want to talk about it and kept dodging the subject. I brought up how unfair it was of her to expect me to provide for her and her children when she doesn't do anything for my daughter and the bare minimum for me. She doesn't do house chores, she doesn't pay bills except her and her daughter's car payments and car insurance, and she spends minimal time with both me and my daughter. Fiancé didn't say anything. Then I talked about the financial and emotional abuse. She freaked the fuck out. She started yelling about how it was my job as the man to provide for her and her kids when I make so much more than her and they have no father figure. I'm all they had, and she kept bringing that up as an excuse for her behavior towards my money and how I spent it on my daughter. When I asked her what she expected me to do about my will or a prenup, she told me that any good husband would put his wife above everyone else. She had been banking on me giving her everything I had for over a year at this point. I don't like yelling at all, but I was at my breaking point with her at this point. We yelled at each other a lot. It's not my finest moment and I'm ashamed, but I realized that I let so much happen and my daughter suffered as a result of it. I told her about her neglect towards my child and I will not tolerate it any longer. She is my number one priority over everyone else and always will be. I don't think my fiancé believed me when I said that, but I guess she realized I was serious when I told her to start packing. I'm done being an ATM for that lady, and it's crazy to think how strangers on an app made me realize how I was stuck in such a toxic, manipulative, and abusive relationship with her. My now ex-fiancé won't be a problem anymore, I hope. I don't think I'll be with another person for a long time, but thank you to everyone for the support and kindness. Edit. My ex's daughter will be staying with me and I will financially support her through college, and I will also help her get her own place. Her and I are on good terms and I want to make sure my ex will not be using her as a token to manipulate me any further. Well, that concludes another journey through Reddit. If you enjoyed today's story, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Jaded Joy Stories so you never miss out on the next adventure. And hey, if you've got your own story to share, feel free to drop a comment below. You never know, you might hear your story read one day. This is Brutus, see y'all next time.